My name is Nickel, oh Nickel. There is a new Widowmaker map, and one of the things Jeff Kaplan said about it was that it gave hints on Widowmaker's past and about what she's currently up to. So immediately, that made me want to find out anything you can possibly find in the Chateau. And there ended up being some pretty interesting things in there. But before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that we're actually looking for someone to work with us on videos. So if you're really interested in Overwatch and gaming in general, and you're serious about making some cool videos, check out the form down below in the description. I'll probably talk about that some more in the future, but for now, let's break down some of the things that are in this map. We'll start with the thing that I think is the most obvious, which is the email on the laptop and the boarding pass. So this home, Chateau Guillard, is the home of Amélie Lacroix, aka Widowmaker's family. Guillard is actually her maiden name before she married to Gerard Lacroix. So in other words, she grew up as Amélie Guillard, hence the Chateau Guillard. So when you go over to the laptop, you actually see this message in French on the screen, which translates to, "Hello Madame Guillard." This message confirms that a limousine will wait for you at Nice Côte d'Azur Airport at 9:30 p.m. The journey between Nice and Monaco should take about 30 minutes. You can, of course, modify this reservation at your convenience. We remain at your disposal for any other request. So I'm sure you probably already noticed a few familiar things in there. The Côte d'Azur is what we would know as the French Riviera, but the most recent time that we've seen that place mentioned is actually during the Summer Games. That is the name of the new Widowmaker skin from the Summer Games. So timing-wise, it happens to tie in together. And since it is the French Riviera, that's why Widowmaker's dressed the way she is. The message mentions that she's going to Monaco, and the most recent time we've heard Monaco is actually in the most recent comic, the Doomfist one called Masquerade. Within the comic's first few pages, we already know that it takes place in Monaco, where the Talon members are undercover at a casino to meet with Maximilian the Omnic. So we actually get to see Widowmaker there along with Doomfist and Sombra. So if Widowmaker was the Madame Guillard referred to in the message, it looks like she made it to Monaco alright. Which brings up the question, was she the Madame Guillard that was referenced in the message? Because if you go back to the boarding pass that was on the same desk as the laptop, the name on it actually says Danielle Guillard, which is a name we've never heard before in the Overwatch universe. There's always a chance it could be a completely different character, but given the situation and the fact that the lore here is meant to revolve around Widowmaker specifically, I would bet that Danielle might actually just be Amélie's pseudonym, just a fake name that she uses not to draw any attention to herself. Since the Chateau is described as Widowmaker's ancestral home, it could technically be something that was left there from the past by one of her family members, but that seems very unlikely also because the computer is still on, and the boarding pass appears to be connected to the message that's on the computer. So I don't think that this is supposed to be some kind of relic from years and years ago, and I think that's why they consciously made the decision to have the message appear on a laptop, as opposed to just being an old letter or something. So in the basement there is a wine cellar, obviously filled with wine bottles, and I tried looking at all of the labels to see if there was any information that could be found. One of the labels had Greek writing and another one was called Lirio Rosa, which is Spanish for pink lily, but probably the most interesting bottle of all of them is the bottle that's right next to Widow's desk in this study. It's a green bottle of Petrus Brut, and Brut is a French sparkling wine. So immediately, I know a lot of you guys probably are thinking, Petrus, I remember that name, but for those of you that don't remember what that is, Petrus was also the name of the act that deemed all Overwatch activity illegal and liable to prosecution, which was likely named after the director of Overwatch mentioned in the Uprising comic. And as a side note, outside the game's lore, Petrus is also the last name of an actual Blizzard employee, the Overwatch art director Bill Petrus. But going back into the game, this bottle of Petrus Brut isn't exclusive to Widowmaker Chateau. You can actually find this bottle on King's Row. So maybe they're trying to make the connection to Widowmaker's animated short called Live. That animated short actually took place in King's Row, and it's the one where she assassinates the Omnic spiritual leader Mondada, which ultimately had a trickle effect that changed a lot of things to come in the Overwatch universe. So some of the other things that are probably worth mentioning inside the Chateau are this Black Widow on the window. So obviously Widowmaker has an association with Black Widow spiders, and this is most likely supposed to be symbolic of that. And the reason why I referred to this desk as being Widowmaker's desk before is because her gun is leaned against it. One thing that's also worth noting is not one specific thing in the house, but the general fact that the entire Chateau appears to be in the process of being restored, because there are paint cans all over the place, including here in the main entrance, where you can also see a ladder, a paint roller, trays for the paint, and more paint cans. The way the PTR patch notes describe this map is by saying Chateau Guillard is located near Annecy in southeastern France. For hundreds of years, it was the estate of the influential Guillard family. Until recently, it fell into disrepair after the family's power waned in the decades after the revolution. Recently, the chateau has found a new owner, the talent agent Widowmaker, who has returned to her family's ancestral home. So it seems like the pretty clear theme there is that Widowmaker's family had this chateau for generations until they started having less power, and that's where the chateau started becoming a little bit more shabby. So since she's technically the new owner of the home, that seems to be the reason why it's undergoing some kind of renovation, because maybe she's restoring it to how it used to be. And on this bookshelf, you'll see a familiar image of Amélie and Gerard on their wedding day. So this is something we've already seen before via a spray, but it looks like Widowmaker is still sentimental about this, even though she's technically still under the brainwash via Talon. And if you don't know about that, in a very short explanation, Talon was trying to eliminate Widowmaker's husband, Gerard Lacroix, for a long time, and they weren't able to do so successfully, so they kidnapped Amélie herself, and no one knew where she was, but then after they were finished conditioning her mind, they let her go, and she went back to her husband. But little did anyone know that she actually was fully conditioned to be a sleeper agent who then killed her own husband. So ultimately, Talon got what they wanted with the death of Gerard Lacroix. So we've already seen one major hint, you might say, about at least questioning how strong of a conditioning this is on Widowmaker's mind currently via the Overwatch comic Reflections. Because in that, we actually see that Widowmaker might be remorseful about Gerard's death because around Christmas time, she actually goes to his grave. And now that we see she's recently acquired her family's chateau, and this photo of them together on their wedding day is here, it kind of brings up some questions. There is still the possibility that maybe this photo was here before she acquired it, but with all the renovation she was doing, if she really felt nothing about this, it seems very likely that she would just remove it. So this is one of the things that Jeff might have been referring to when he said that the chateau would give us hints about what she's currently up to. And this might be her current mental state in terms of what she's up to, because we know physically she was most likely the one that was going to Monaco because we saw her in Masquerade in Monaco, but now we have this image which questions what we previously assumed about Widowmaker. So maybe this is all leading to some kind of big Widowmaker redemption arc or some sort of story where she switches sides. It's hard to say right now, but the biggest thing we have to go on is the question itself, based on at least these two instances, Widowmaker at the grave in Reflections, and to a lesser degree, this photo and Widowmaker's recently reacquired chateau. So let me know what you guys think about all of this down below in the comments. Do you think the next step for Widowmaker is to flop sides again? If you think she will leave Talon at some point, leave a comment that says Widow Team Overwatch, or if you think she'll stay with Talon, leave a comment that says Widow Team Talon. If you guys didn't get a chance to check out the most recent video, don't forget to do so. It's linked down below in the description, as well as a link to that forum that I mentioned earlier. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. But either way, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.